All right, welcome to a video looking at shapes and how to work with them. We're going to look at presets and all sorts of fun things. So to start with, I'm going to just get a black video, kind of easy sort of thing to work with. We can just put that in here. You don't really need it, but it's just so you can have a sequence thing, really. So what I'd like to do is try drawing a shape. I'm going to start with, I'm going to press the button here. You can see it creates the graphic on top. Alt. We'll actually do something like that. Click here. Okay, there's our shape. If we go now into the effects control, you can see we've got our shape. You can actually rename this. So for instance, I could call it Teardrop, which is what I'm going to call it. Now, in general, you want to basically, if you want to do like multiple shapes, you want to make sure you're not doing too much in terms of movement at this stage. It just needs to be messing with the path of the shape, right? So that appearance looks good. And yeah, so basically, once you've got the appearance sorted, how you want the shape to look, you probably don't want that there because you're really dealing with path and then transformations at this stage. These are really the only things that you can mess with, if you, especially when you're going to incorporate it into a larger sort of thing. So our path, let's make sure we've got it in our spot where I want it. I'm going to stick the anchor point in the middle as well. Okay, because we're not really looking at the motion, we'll stick it right in the center here. So what could we do with the path then? Well, there's a bunch of things you could potentially do with the path. We can select our shape. We could make it bigger. Try and keep that center point in the middle, and it should look fairly decent in terms of the growth. There's other things you can do with the shape though. We could, for instance, do the pen tool. And for instance, like let's do a couple of different things here. Number one, we'll just give it a little side motion there. So there's a bit of side motion. And then we can return it back. We could copy and paste this guy in there. So you can see we go, okay. What else could we do? Well, we could do things like, if you see with the pen tool, we could have another, let's have another vertex here. And once we do something like this, put that one there, put another vertex here to make it look like a little turnip thing. Yeah, I mean, it's an idea. Maybe not a very good one, but it is an idea nonetheless. All right, so there is our shape. And like I say, we could mess with the position of it, but in general, if you're working with, you want to be seeing this as like an object, so maybe you don't want to do that. Let's copy this shape and paste another. And what about another, and another, and another? I'd say we're going to have 5. We're going to have 5 of them. Okay, so what we're going to do then is we just pull this one over here a little bit. You're also going to go to the left, and we'll try and sort of center that somewhere around there. And this one is actually going to go over here. And then this guy, you can go over here. So we take a look at what happens now. So they're all going to do their thing. Just going to change the appearance of a couple of them as well. Why not, right? So you actually going to be slightly lighter shade. There you go. Okay, so I did nothing with the motion, and that's because you really want to be dealing with the motion at like once you've already sort of made your preset, right? So what I'm going to do, teardrops. There we go. Teardrops. There we go. All right, so this is what we currently got. Let's put another black video on top. You'll notice that it blocks it off. So that's not good, right? But there is actually a way to fix that. We could obviously change the opacity, but actually the best way to fix it is to do this. You can see it, and now you can see everything. What it means, right, is I could go to my effects, and remember we've got that teardrops, yes, right? Put those teardrops on top. With these teardrops, I could maybe move them down. They could be like a weird like reflection thing. Or, you know what, actually, if they're going to be reflection, I guess I could just rotate them as well. That's not bad. That's not a bad idea. Let's put them into position. Scale them down a bit. Scale them down like that. See how that looks, right? Point is, you obviously have a lot more power if you do the motion afterwards, right? So that's just something that I was trying to show there. Rather than doing the motion at the beginning stage when I was just messing around with it within the shape itself. Let's start maybe from a bigger scale here, just to see what happens. And then we'll go all the way down to a super small scale. So you see this completely changes how it might look, right? Gives you a much, kind of like a cooler effect for sure. And that is something that you could, and that's often like what happens when you go from like massive scales to small scales. Anything that you've done in your animation could look really, really cool, right? And there's a million different things that you could do here, like with the effects. And the good thing about this, like this is literally taking me 10 seconds to do. If you try to use some of the default ones, it's going to take much longer than this because everything's kind of fast. So I just put on a lens flare. Let's see what happens now. Yeah, not bad. Not bad, right? Just a very simple shape animation can yield some like awesome stuff. Oh, the gradient is kind of interesting as well because it's so big. It goes to a much smaller size, and this is kind of like quite a pastel-y thing when it's quite zoomed out. That is actually kind of like an interesting result. It's probably more interesting in Photoshop, something like that. But yeah, all sorts of interesting stuff you can do just with like a simple animation like that. So thanks for watching.